The messy middle. We still don't have an introduction. We still don't have a video.
I
We're
am
just going to keep it
happy.
going.
I'm happy to report I started a curriculum online on
The
how to
first
make
frame.
movies. To make no, hold on, hold on. I'm aiming for big. I paid for a training on how to make Hollywood type special effect using Unreal Engine 5. So it's going to be amazing. I'll just need 3 weeks
man.
training, and I think it's going to be great.
Why are you
You're just hyping us
overcomplicating
up
this?
right now. It's like the expectations are super high.
Honestly,
right now.
honestly, I just did that because I miss 3D. I miss doing things for fun, and this is totally useless. But since I was a kid, I was always doing 3D stuff, and now I'm like, I feel like learning Unreal Engine 5 is too complicated. But this curriculum is just to say how to make cool videos with Unreal Engine 5, and it's way easier. So I don't know. I'm excited.
It sounds
We'll
cool,
see.
but it's opposite of everything we talked about in
No.
startups, which is
No.
move fast, do things faster.
Yeah, no.
build,
This is
measure, learn.
no. I never said that. I mean, like this is relaxing time. This is my happy place. And then
Yeah, but our podcast is
I
struggling.
put my hand over our face because.
And this is not actually. This is about
we're
learning.
Like
That's what we
17
talked about last week. Learning.
It's about learning. It's okay. It's about learning. Okay.
And this will be useful for Apple Vision Pro. Anyway, we'll talk later.
Sure, we'll talk later. None of us that actually have an Apple Vision Pro. So, this, I think, was it? Meta's down. Lots of stuff happening. Bitcoin's up. We don't have a guest this week. Next week we probably will.
Is Meta down on the stock
Teddy-
exchange?
No,
Not
Meta,
the stock,
like
the-
the Instagram and Facebook.
I would buy it.
People. Okay.
Not a
go.
financial
So,
advice.
well,
No.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dropped.
What's up, guys? What's up? What's going on?
Yeah, Bitcoin's up. That's what's up. Like all the crypto. That's one of my predictions. I expected this to happen a bit later once the halving is
Because of a half
done. Yeah. But it seems that this really.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's like how much of a hype is this right now. It probably is because it's crypto, but like it's I don't know. It's interesting to see this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would love to hear your thoughts, guys, on that. That was my
I think
prediction.
I think it's a good time to I don't know, maybe repolish your startup and start to go outside. It's gonna be everybody's gonna be Web3 is back. It's gonna be Web
Crypto.
3.2. It's gonna be Web3 and AI together. It's happening.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
It's
I've been
Web 4.
getting a lot of people saying, "Hey, I'm back. I'm back."
Web
It's-
4. It's
it's-
Web 3 and AI. And then Teddy is gonna make $100 million exit, in like 2 weeks.
Plus longevity.
Yeah.
Don't forget that one.
Oh yeah,
All
yeah,
the
exactly.
buzzwords.
That's right. That's right. So, okay, let's do some personal updates, and then let's talk about. I think we can talk about some topics we were sending around in our WhatsApp group beforehand. Because unlike other podcasts that plan everything out beforehand, we like to do it at least 30 seconds before we start. So, get some updates. I think then we want to talk a little bit about investing back into the startup ecosystem once you're kind of a post-exit founder, regardless if you have the financial capability to do it or just the time commitment or the time availability. And then kind of like a little bit legacy and impact, which kind of fits in to that. And then we had a one that we were debating about, building a brand post-exit, which I kind of find is a little cheesy, but let's get into it. So sort of my updates of mine, I'm heading to New York tonight. Can't say I'm like too thrilled to go. It's beautiful, the weather here, and in New York it's rainy and cold.
Nice. Good timing.
Yeah. I'm getting closer somewhat to figure something out, maybe. A bunch of meetings this week, but nothing solidified yet, and trying my best. But none of my I would say none of the paid opportunities that have come inbound have actually followed
None of
through
your
on
fishing
anything.
lines, brought any fish.
So is
No.
this something like completely new, or can you share a bit more? Or?
No, there's not much.
Okay.
I mean, there's nothing new. No. So I mean, I could share more, basically a bunch of bullshit, but No, I'm just meeting a bunch of people. So like
Cool.
last week, I had two calls with the guy who's the creator of Siri and the CTO. He's working on an interesting new project, which I kind of went back and forth on him and made some intros for that. And just taking some meetings in New York. There's a company
Cool.
that needs help raising some money and just trying to figure it out. So, Frank, why aren't you paying attention to what I'm saying? I hear this clicking and all of the colors change in your eyes. So,
I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention. Like, but sorry. Yeah.
yeah, but the screen is, I can see the blue and the green on your face of the screen. So,
Uh,
and reflection.
I'm gonna mute him anyway, so we're
you're
good.
paranoid.
It's fine.
Everything's
Yeah,
good.
we can. It's our audience deserves more. Teddy, what's up with you?
I'm actually going to Miami just when you're coming here. It wasn't planned, but then I found like a nice spot there, so we'll spend about 10 days. And I always want to
Starting
go
next week.
for starting next weekend. So I'll be there probably in the next episode. I'll be from Miami.
So you guys,
As I-
sorry, Gabriel's going to New York, and precisely at the same time, Teddy decided to
roughly
just
around the
randomly.
same time.
Yeah, that's what I
No,
thought.
but
It's
I did it last week. I
random.
said it. I said it
Yeah,
last
yeah.
week. We weren't sure about like exact dates and stuff.
But as soon as Gabriel
as soon
confirmed,
as
you-
Gabriel confirmed, yeah, yeah, not related at all.
Typical.
But yeah, I just want to spend some time like on a place where it's a little bit more sunny. Actually, New York was pretty good 2 days ago. It was like the best weather, really sunny. Everyone was outside. Hopefully, Miami will be good, and of course, I'm gonna be doing some work and trying to get some inspiration from the ocean. But yeah,
Of course. Of course. I mean, there's sometimes you can not do work and just go hang out for a few days. That's also, or do you get guilty if you don't do work?
not me. Yeah, not me.
Frank, what's up with you?
just came back to Tallinn, where it's been amazing. Like finally, blue sky every day for the past 3 days, which makes me happy. After a week of rain and grayness in Paris. Fun fact: the first thing that we noticed when we came back here was that the air felt fresh. I think that's a value I forgot of being in Tallinn, which is like fresh air, nature. What else? Edictis. So spent a month. We reorganized things, and now we're really growing fast. So that's exciting. We overshoot February by 20%, and we're going to try to overshoot March by 20%, which means we'll be able to
That's awesome.
start to go and fundraise, I guess, by the end of next month. And with a target of maybe raising in September, October. So that's good. And then exploring a new idea, which I cannot talk about, but looks too complicated, so I'm not sure we'll pursue this one. And so I think I'm going to go towards whatever is simple, and I'll keep setting up some meetings to finish to explore the market on one, and then so pretty good. And then most of my time right now, I'm getting closer to my wedding, so a lot of the bandwidth of my time right now has been set up for personal stuff. So I don't I don't push too much work because of that. It's just I would say 40% of my time, 30% of my time right now is on planning, and as everything get closer, I have to do that.
When is the exact date?
I'm not going to say that on YouTube. We'll talk about it later.
Why does it matter?
Late April. I don't know if
Late
it matters
April.
or not, but it's one of these.
Doesn't
I don't want
matter.
to be like 10 years from now when you identify yourself with what's the date of your wedding. Anyway, I'm a little paranoid, I guess. It's fine.
You guys really are paranoid. And so I celebrated my third wedding anniversary last week.
Congratulations.
Which,
What date?
thank you. February? No, it's February 28th. And so
Okay, brave.
yeah, brave for what? What are they gonna? It's that. A lot of this stuff is public record, anyways. It goes in the newspaper. So
You have to think about the very near future where AI will be able to look at every single video of everything you said, of everything
Has
you
nothing to do with
posted,
it.
of cross.
but
But
I don't think it has
anyway.
anything to do with the video. I can search in public records right after I get off this phone call of when my
Okay.
wedding was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
And to
But
so it's
you might not think about what to search. Anyway, what I mean is I would see definitely vector of attacks in a couple of month years where
but
AI do that.
but again, I'm gonna dispute your point. Is it's so much easier just to search the public records for a vector of attack,
Okay.
and you would do
We're
that
derailing. We're
first.
derailing. We said we keep it 30 minutes. So like we'll do a special round on security and safety on AI.
Sure, we'll do that. We'll do that. So, so getting back to the startup ecosystem, what's our kind of take on that? What do we like to do
Steady,
by giving
steady
back?
subject.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about some ideas what we can talk about. That seems to be one that's really close to what I've been doing my whole life. And it started from a sort of selfish reason. There wasn't anyone in my ecosystem. There wasn't any ecosystem at all when I was starting. So I started to create that for me to just surround myself with people that actually are similar in interests. And that led me to a path where I would then try to help other people find their way. So I thought that's like an interesting discussion. And I know like Frank here is probably created one. I mean, it's definitely one of these largest organizations that's actually
Aw.
help support entrepreneurs. So that's really giving back to the startup ecosystem. It has that ethos built in there. And also I was part of Techstars where give back is actually the hashtag. So yeah.
There was an article recently about Techstars saying like why they don't give back anymore. Give forward, why they don't give forward anymore. I think was the article, but and you're actually you're right. I even forget about that, but I forgot about that. But I did speak to Startup Weekend Ukraine this weekend. So it was pretty cool, like to reconnect with the ecosystem. And yes, people are building startups during war, which is just I don't know, really makes you think about when whatever excuse people have when they don't build startups.
It's a good point.
I always try to take these sort of inbound calls from entrepreneurs that reach out to me, these warm intros, and like to support with my time. Financially, I'm not a big investor in a lot of startups. A lot of my angel investments didn't do well over the last few years. A couple of did, but I kind of think it's better to give sort of feedback and advice versus purely putting a check in. I also am not at that point in the post-exit journey of being able to drop, 25, 50, 100K checks. But from, what I've seen in sort of my experience of giving back to founders is they just really want to listen and hear your story, but then they also kind of want to tell them how they're feeling, and it's cathartic for them to just kind of bitch about what they're doing, and you throw it back at them a little bit. It's and listen, um, which I think is important. And I've seen a lot of founders that are just completely lost. And it's nice to be somebody who's not an investor and not an advisor, give them some support as almost a friend.
Hmm. Yeah, you can give back with time. You can give back with money. I think the best way you can give back is with introductions. But you have to deserve the introduction, right? So it's not because someone is going to be. It's a transactional thing, right? It's like I try to talk to anyone who reached out to me, minus the LinkedIn spam, and then if I feel like there's something there that's interesting, I say cool. Give you an intro, and if I feel their pitch is crap and it's personal, then I tell them, and then I wait to see if people adapt. I try to be nice and rational.
Yeah, and I think we want to be careful with the intros. Is you just want to make sure that the founders that you're making the intros for, understand the weight of the intros, and also like handle it in a way that is respectful for you and for the people you're introducing them to. And you don't want to burn the
Yeah,
intro, so-
that's a good point.
which
I
which
agree.
happens. I've seen like I introduced somebody that I know that introduced to two different people, and both people were like, "Oh, that person was an asshole," and the first person I said, well, maybe they didn't get along, and the second person was like a board member of my SPAC, and I was like, oh, like that didn't go so well. They got in like some fight about hedge fund returns, and the guy was like, "Oh, I'm producing 30% returns a year," and he's like, "So if you just take your own money, you could be a billionaire." And they were supposed to talk about like AI for hedge funds and whatever, and it ended up going poorly. So I'd say be careful of the introductions that you make in your network, because if you introduce somebody that ends up being a jerk to the person you introduce them to, that person will think, well, maybe he's a jerk too a little bit.
I think in terms of interaction, my rule is usually I talk to both sides before I make the introduction. That being said, if I think about it, I wouldn't be too shy sometimes to do maybe more risky introductions when you're not sure with actually the people you know the best, because they can forgive. But this way, it's like you maximize your chance of having a deal. But with people you don't know well enough, you don't want to burn anything. But so in a weird way, I would have less issue like making maybe a crappier introduction to Teddy and Gabriel, not because it's crappy, but because I feel like there's a risk versus reward where I'm like, look, I don't know the guy, but if the guy is good, then that's a great intro. And if the guy sucks, then you guys can kill the intro yourself. That's fine.
Yeah, it's the reputation, your reputation on the line. So if I can make an intro, someone wants an intro with you, Frank, then I'll probably do it. Yeah, and I'll probably do it because for the same reason.
Because you're friends, and like it's counterintuitive, right? You would think that for your friends you would give the best intro, but I feel like it's the opposite. It's like it's more fun because I'd be like, look, I don't know that guy. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. But if it's maybe good or maybe bad, there's no way I'm going to introduce it to someone I don't know.
Yeah, but I also try to protect your time.
Yeah, of course.
I can filter that in that case.
Likewise. I do that too.
I'm kind of waiting for Frank to talk a little bit more.
No, but we said 30 minutes. I'm trying to be like, okay, like we have to keep the subject shorter.
So you can invest in, you can give back to the ecosystem your time. You can invest money. You can make introductions. What are some other things? And post-exit, this is related to post-exit founders. What? Yeah,
I can. What I think of, but again, it's a very, very specific case. I'm trying to give back by trying to invent new things that the ecosystem doesn't have. Part of it is what we're doing here, which is like, the ecosystem doesn't have an easy way to manage how you do post-exit. And so, there's a couple of groups that were, and that's slowly becoming an ecosystem of its own. And I'm sure 10 years from now, there's going to be deaccelerators. There's going to be post-exit. You're going to enter a deaccelerator, and then you can build that, and decelerator. Sorry.
I've seen people do that, like in the post-exit founders group that we're part of, where they're like, "Oh, come to this retreat where you can just." It's how to switch your mentality from being so aggressive on the startup side and having this one vision to now you've made it and made it happen, to switch over to being like more chill, and maybe you can channel that energy somewhere else, which kind of gets into
a chillator.
A chillator, yeah. I mean, and like for me, I don't think I need that right now, because I obviously haven't had $100 million exit yet, and have been but like I think from a perspective of people who actually end up making the financial outcome that they want and hit that number, it might be useful, because a lot of the times in these post-exit founder groups, these people are just bitching about having so much money and no time. They don't know what to do with it. And
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say great transition for our next subject.
Yeah. Which is really what to do if you're in that position, and should you be a content creator? And a lot of the content that I see is people just bitching about their exit. And you're kind of like, okay, well, clearly this is a problem. Because it's a human problem. It's when you accomplish that certain goal and you hit that mountain, and you're at that mountaintop, you're like, okay, I don't know which mountain to climb again, or do I even like mountain climbing at all? And so I get frustrated because I'm like, oh shit, I'm not in that position yet. Like,
I'm kind of glad I'm not following any of that. Actually, you guys kept giving me shit because I didn't subscribe, but I feel good. Like it's not stressful to follow.
Honestly, at this point, a lot of it.
I don't know if I want this Bugatti or that Bugatti. I don't know, guys. Like, oh my god,
It's
Well,
good to surround yourself with like this type of like folks that can achieve these types of successes. But I definitely see two different types of post-exit founders there, and in other ecosystems, Twitter also. There's a lot of different groups popping up right now, and there are people who did it and they're thinking about how they can have their insurance now, how they can have benefits and luxurious lives. Well, there are others who just don't give a damn about that life. They just want to not do anything in the post-exit world. So there's also huge disconnect between these two groups. And I
yeah, but
think
then there's
there's
three groups. Because then there's
uh,
the third group, which is post-exit founders that still need to do something to make
exactly. There's
money.
probably
Again,
third group. Yeah.
I think there's a fourth
Exactly.
group,
Uh-huh.
which is the one
Which is?
who don't need to do anything, but who still want to do something. Which are again, I guess, I would expect that that's more my style. It's like the guy at Tectalia, I forgot his name, like which I interviewed. Do you remember Gabriel? Brilliant entrepreneur, and he keeps doing the same startup over and over again. But he never stops. But he could stop. Like he and his family could go on holidays for the next 500 years. But
Yeah.
you guys keep
And
building the same thing.
and he's actually a part of the car group, and in the car
Nice.
group they have
Oh,
they
he loves
have
cars.
like
That's true.
they have insane cars in this group, and every day somebody's like, "Here's a new Ferrari guy. Here's a new McLaren. Here's a new Porsche." They shit in Porsches. They hate Porsches, and like, and it's cool to see it. But being in that like sort of third group, which is okay, post exit, but still need to make money. Um, it's actually not fun. Like I don't
Yeah.
enjoy it
So
because
again,
it's
great transition, which I want to catch, which is what let's talk about this group, right? So you do make it to fuck your money, or even worse, you have an exit. I think to me the worst scenario in a way, maybe it's not, but it kind of reminds me of Startup Weekend where you have an exit, everybody says congratulations, and you have $0 on your bank account, and it's that is not great because you're on top, but at the same time you kind of have to go outside in the street and start begging. It's like a weird ego conflict. And it's like how to manage that. And I think my point of view is no shame, like right away to be like, I didn't make money, like, and very clearly say it. I think some people try to hide it, like in this Japanese movie where the guy loses his job and he's too ashamed of it. But I would say fuck shame, because for America, at least, maybe in Europe it's harder, but in America, like, fuck shame, it's like, I'll do anything to make some money. And I think that's the first thing is you kind of, and I think it's even better because that's so hard on your ego, but I feel like it makes you indestructible. When you survive that phase, it's like now nothing matters anymore.
It's a huge advantage.
But yeah, but it's an advantage after. It's like going to the gym, for a year or two. But why do you go there the first day? It doesn't feel great. But anyway, like, so let's talk maybe about what happened for the vast majority, because what I'm talking about is maybe 95% of the founders. Like when you're a post-exit founder, 95% will either on day one or on day 365 will have no cash. And so let's talk about these 90%, and what they should do. So what's your point of view, guys?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to actually get into with my point. There's these two groups, but there seems to be like this real type of post-exit founders who are actually struggling for real.
It's like,
They're not
hey
trying
guys,
to make up stuff.
I'm selling
Yeah.
my car.
Yeah,
It's
there are
like,
people
here's
like
my-
that.
It's the other group, it's like, hey, I'm selling my Prius.
There are probably ways to cope with that situation, but like the shame is probably one thing. You gotta be transparent to yourself first.
Let's zoom into that. Why people are ashamed? What's the mechanism to that? Because to anyone else from the outside, they'll be like, you're an idiot. You shouldn't be ashamed. But when you're in it, you're extremely ashamed.
because you identify yourself as the entrepreneur and you identify yourself as one, and by definition, an entrepreneur, creates things, right? And a successful entrepreneur should be making money from an American standpoint of capitalism. So the outward angle feels like, okay, I sold my company. Look, I sold my company to Animoca, right? Gamma, and I made $0 on the sale up front. I got shares, and I had some severance from Gamma, and I was very, very miserable and depressed because, outwardly it was a success selling in the worst market of all time for crypto, but I didn't have that much cash left. And of course, the great story is their shares 6 times, and like that paid for my last 4 years of living. Um, but now I'm in a position where I sold the SPAC at the end of last year, and I don't have a lot of cash left, right? I have a lot of illiquid investments, and I don't have cash flow. So where the shame comes of wanting to go work on something and do something else, that's not your own project, is like you've only done this. I've only done this my whole life. I've only been an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's
So that's
I
how
think
I
there
feel the shame.
no, and there's another thing which I keep reminding myself, and maybe it's why all of us are friends. There's many people who have zero shame. And so you can be like with zero consideration for investors, which always amazes me. I love the example of a guy who did the Juicero. I don't know if you remember.
Of course.
Of course,
Like burned like whatever for $300 million or whatever it was.
Doug Evans was his name.
Like crashed the startup, like did zero, and then the guys at Burning Man and be like, oh yeah, cool, like I'm re-raising money for doing that, and like I think there's a lesson there too, which is I of the same with the guy from WeWork in a way at a different level, which is in a way that's what also the market expect. I think investors have zero grudge against someone who crashes startup, but when you're an entrepreneur, some of them, I mean, some of us, we care a lot about that, and we maybe overestimate how much people care, because you have direct relation with people who invested, but. It seems also one way to address that is just to be like, well, I crash it, like fuck it, and I'm raising money. I wish I was like that. I can't, but I observe
Yeah.
some people are like that.
That's definitely what I'm aspiring to become in that sense. Like it's business, right? They are aware that you can just
Yeah.
burn everything. But in my
but we
case,
only-
I think
but
the
we don't-
shame. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, we only know of the stories of the guys who are able to do that and have no shame, but there are guys who have no shame who are not able to do that and are missing something, and they're
Yeah.
just constantly trying to raise for the next thing, and they fucked everybody their first time around. And
Yeah.
I'm sure the outliers are the guys that have no shame, and like the
Yeah,
Adam
survivorship
Williams, you can
bias.
raise again. Yeah.
I'm sure there's outliers on both sides. I didn't read his blog post, but Steve Blank just published something. I think it seems to be about he's launching a startup about raising $100 million, or he's launching a startup about following some passion. And I think now there's this species of entrepreneurs out there that just optimize for fundraising with zero passion, and it's fine. But anyway, like there's a lot of different spectrum of different messy middles.
Yeah. Just wanted to say that in my case, the shame is also, or it could be based on the contract that you're making with yourself, this virtual thing, like you're going to succeed. You're betting on something versus something else, and then you're making sort of promises to not investors, but also like friends and family, and you sort of expect to be in a certain position and you are not. So you had an exit, everyone thinks you're in like this glamorous, luxurious life right now, and you're broke. So that's also another source of shame, just like the virtual contract.
Which is not your case because you're in New York, then you go to Miami.
Yeah. That's what it looks on the outside, but like the reality could be different, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I have 2 cars. I'm married to a model. I have a 3-floor apartment in Florida. I travel to Saint-Tropez during the summer.
But let's dive, sorry. So I want to go back to the subject, which is like, how do you manage your transition, if you don't have any money? And I think there's 2 or 3 things. Number one is, that's what I was trying to do with Recorp, but I think it works better now, which is entrepreneurship experience itself is becoming valuable. At least an easy one seems to be, and I've never done that, but you've got entrepreneurs in residence. I think you can get, a job. A lot of the entrepreneurs are like, college educated, blah, blah. So I feel like consulting, large corporation, like something comfortable might be a good target. The issue with that is the process is very difficult, very long. So you still need to
usually
go.
get the job.
Yeah, no. So exactly, you need to do 100, 200 job interviews. And there's going to be a lot of no's, and that adds to the, oh, fuck. What is my life about? I remember a friend of mine when he was doing his startup, he had like 2 days left of cash, and then he was very emotional about it, and he was like, "What have I done with my life?" It's like, I've wasted 5 or 6 years of my life doing this thing, and it was like, "What have I done?" That was a big mistake. And then, of course, 3 days later, he raised money and sold his company 2 years later. But it could have gone another way. It's like, it's just crazy. And so I think number one is find a job, and whatever job you can find. I think honestly, it's part of the story. Even if it's a shitty job, even if it's a crappy job, whatever thing that's going to get you back to I'm going to wake up every day and do something is going to be helpful. And you should have no shame asking your friends to be like, do you know anyone? Can I warm introductions on you? But that's something else. That's another way to help the ecosystem. If it doesn't happen. Actually, it's funny, but I don't know if it happens to you. But if someone reach out to me and say I need help, at least I'll try to help.
Oh
Or
yeah.
at least
Oh yeah. I had this one guy who's emailed me for a long time, and sad story. Needed help with some things. I will not financially help people. I've learned the lesson where I do not loan money to people because it is always a gift. And I think at one point I had the exit years ago, and I gave somebody $20,000 as a loan. Um, it was stupid, but I was 24, 25, thinking that the guy would pay me back. But I think, this one guy who reached out to me, I made a few intros saying, "Hey, he's really talented. He's looking for a job." And I don't think he actually got the job from any of those intros, but just helping makes the person feel better. Um,
even talking, if you don't
it's
have any intro to make, I think just to be there, talk
yeah,
to people, it's going to be all right. Because it's going to be all right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You know, you every day that you make it's another day. So, um, and we've survived all the tough days. But I think the thing that you just need to do is keep communicating, keep meeting people.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but I've never been in a position where I have 0 days of cash left personally. So I don't know what that feels like.
Yeah. But again,
I
I
don't know, have you
remember
guys
no, but
post exit?
no, but again, like no shame. Like I like Karl Schramm wrote a book about that. It was like I think also Clay Christensen talked about that. But it's like the core of everything is to have enough capital for you to eat and sleep and whatever. And when you at that level,
The hierarchy of Maslow's pyramid, right?
that's another
Hierarchy of
subject.
needs.
Maslow actually never made the pyramid, and but anyway,
I knew there's something wrong with that guy.
I read Maslow. I read
Or
his,
the pyramid.
but anyway, I'm diverging. That's my fault. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, again, big message to anyone out there who's in that situation and you kind of drink the Kool-Aid of being the cool entrepreneur who's doing this cool thing is just no shame. Go get whatever job you can do, right now. And after a year of, rebuilding cash, then you'll come with new ideas and you can reboot. But I'm always wondering, it's honestly something I always wonder is how many entrepreneurs are out there who, it's a little dark, but I'm wondering how many committed suicide, how many are in the street. There has to be something there. And like it's a very big risk of a messy middle is to not realizing you're in deep shit and to be in denial. And because you keep hanging out with people who are millionaires and you're like, you make zero money, but you're sitting next to a guy who has all this great success. But for some reason, it's not because you're going to sit next to someone who has success, but there's going to be a transfer of wealth. Because as Gabriel even said, like you wouldn't even give 20K to a friend. And so even less, I think that's another thing we talked about, I think last week, which is when someone made a big exit, the first thing you do is you stop talking to anyone who asks you for money because everybody's going to ask you for money. So in a weird way, also my other advice would be stay away from successful founders when you're in that situation and come back to them when you have an idea and a plan and the story, But anyway.
Yeah. You can't. I mean, the reality is you can't spend too much time with them because it'll distort
money
distort.
I got it.
They fuck up your brain.
Hey, let's go
No,
to this fancy restaurant. It's $2,000 and let's go
If you're
to
friends with
Caribbean.
that, but if you're friends with them, you just tell them, "Look, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to pay for it. So
Yeah.
I'm not spending $1,000 or whatever." But yeah, I look. I think the optimistic flip side of that is it's also nice to be a part of that community, and where
Of course.
it's that point that Frank said at the end, which is save it until you've got something that you're ready to share with them. Don't share with them the next thing or the because that's probably not your best
But you can
idea.
get real. Honestly, you
And-
can get real too. I mean, you can say, I'm in deep shit. I have no job. I have no money. And then my bet is half of the people, or even 3/4 of the people who have been very successful have been through that. So I think,
Of course.
Of course,
it's like ask for advice. Definitely not money, but yeah.
Yeah. So, for anybody out there struggling, there's a ton of really good resources. Frank mentioned some entrepreneurs that committed suicide, but if anybody actually is really at that point, make sure, call your family, call your friends. Mental health is very important. There's a
For
lot of
any
good
of our 30
resources.
viewers, like at this point, we have 30 viewers. So if anyone is like that, you can
Yeah.
contact us. Any of
yeah,
us.
just
We'll-
reach out
Contact us as well.
anytime. Yeah.
Yeah. So, because we've all been in positions where we feel like the world is caving in on us, but we're very lucky to have a great support
now,
structure and
but now
system.
we're used to. Now we're used to it. It's like, yeah, that's fine. It's like this cartoon, it's like fire everywhere, and then the dog
Yeah,
or whatever
yeah.
says,
Yeah.
everything's fine. It's okay. So like indestructible, unbreakable.
I mean, look. So we're not going to talk about the messy, what you do with post-exit founders and content creators or whatever.
Yeah.
We can save that for another episode. But I think we kind of leave this on the note of,
I'd like to
It's-
interview. By the way, we should find someone to interview who has done an exit and ended up having a job and is happy, or she's happy. That'd be interesting.
Sure.
If anyone has ideas.
I always do this thing where I look through LinkedIn and see where they exit and then where they get the job. And then I look at my LinkedIn and I see mine where it's like co-founder of this, that, this, and I've never had a job. And I'm like, shit, like what would it actually look like if I end up
You never had
getting
a job. You
And-
never. No. You have a job. You worked for how do you get your miles, or whatever it was. You do.
My Sky Miles?
Miles.
No, whatever. Like you or your discounts.
When I raise money for Weave? You mean
I
like
don't
when
want to
worked
say
for,
it. I don't
Goldman
want-
Sachs?
I didn't want to say anything, but yeah, sure. You had a job.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I had a job. Yeah. But no, I've never. So I don't know. I actually don't know what that feels like on like a LinkedIn or whatever. And I absolutely would fear the day. But maybe that's something that I need to slay too. So, okay, who's got the quote for this week?
Teddy.
I did last week, so
Gabriel never. Yeah, it's been a while. You haven't given us a great quote.
I mean, I do. I've given us a lot of good quotes, but I think time wasted rationalizing the mediocre could be time wasted rationalizing the mediocre could be time spent creating the magnificent.
beautiful.
Is that from Disney?
Basically, yeah.
Is it a
So,
Disney movie?
It's from
Is
my.
that from? Is it Kung
It's
Fu
from my.
Panda?
It's my You're a Badass calendar.
You're badass.
So-
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah. Cool. Well, talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
See you.